Welcome to On the Vineyard. I'm Monica Brady-Meyerov, the publisher of the Vineyard Gazette Media Group on Martha's Vineyard. We're so glad you're here. On the Vineyard is sponsored by Crane Appliance. The cherry blossoms are blooming on the island. I can see a bright pink one outside my office window. Coming up, there's a shortage of police officers on island.
I think a lot of the up-island departments are experiencing this more. Their departments tend to be smaller.
More on that from Gwen Skiles in a moment. But first, children in Chilmark celebrated May Day last weekend the old-fashioned way. They danced around a maypole holding colorful strips of fabric. And did you hear more buzzing than usual this past week? You may have, because there were 250,000 more honeybees on the island than there were the week before. Why, you ask? Because Peter Wells, who writes the Chappie Town column for the Vineyard Gazette, went off-island to bring 26 packages of bees from the Plymouth Bee Club for beekeepers on the island.
$30,914 to pay the town's share of the fiscal year.
Town meetings continued this week. Tisbury's meeting went 2 nights. This sound is from night number 2. The town agreed to add 10 new boat moorings. The amendment was to add 35, but voters only agreed to 10, and by a slim margin. That's the sound of the historic press in the Vineyard Gazette offices in Edgartown, printing the paper. That means it's time to go upstairs to the newsroom to check in with Bill Evell, the editor-in-chief and the reporters on this week's news. Bill, what's going on this week?
Hi, Monica. Well, we turn again to town meetings this week. It was Chilmark and Tisbury this time. The big item, as has been the case in the other towns, was the leaf blower ban. Both Chilmark and Tisbury did pass their versions of the ban, which will go into effect in 2028. You sort of need a spreadsheet, though, to figure out all the little different nuances of each town. For example, Tisbury is banning them on Sundays and federal holidays. But go check out the Gazette website for all the stories. You can see exactly what's going to happen there. Turning now to reporter Gwen Skiles, who has a story this week on police shortages around the island. She started discovering this first up in Quina.
Yes. Hi, Bill, and hello, listeners. So, this story did start in Aquina. I was sitting in a select board meeting when Police Chief Randy Belain said that a open full-time officer position that they had received no applicants at all. And so this kind of pushed them to start an agreement with the sheriff's office. So now Sheriff Bob Ogden will be deploying 6 different special duty officers who are all trained to the town on a rotational basis to help fill this 40-hour vacancy from the one officer who retired.
Now, as your story went on to say, there's been a ripple effect. It's going, a lot of the up-island police officers are heading down where there's more pay. Some of the down-island officers are going off-island where there's more pay. And, of course, a lot of it goes back to housing, affordable housing.
Yes, Bill, every story we do feels like it comes back to this crisis. And so, police officers, it's one of those careers where you don't make enough money to buy a home here, but you also make too much to qualify for some of the affordable housing options that are on island. So this kind of creates a limited pool for the 6 departments to hire from. And so, you're right. I think a lot of the up-island departments are experiencing this more. Their departments tend to be smaller, and they're starting to kind of train up the upcoming officers who are all headed down island, which is creating what one chief called a dog-eat-dog competition amongst departments. So that's unfortunate. And there's also just a national lack of interest in law enforcement careers from youth that we're experiencing as well. So those are definitely challenges that the island's police departments will have to combat.
All right. Thanks, Gwen, for checking in on that. Turning now to another story by Gwen this week. This was over at the museum. She was checking in on a new exhibit by Austin Bryant, a photographer. The exhibit is called Where They Still Remain. Gwen, tell us about it.
Yeah, so Austin Bryant is a very talented photographer, and he has been visiting in the summers since he was a little kid. And so one day he was just driving along Lobsterville Beach, and he took out his camera to take a photo. And he learned that in that same area, which is tribal lands, that a enslaved man named Randall Burton actually hid there until a Wampanoag woman found him and gave him shelter. And so he just thought that this was such a beautiful historical story that kind of showed the intersection between these two communities. And he started a whole project about it.
As you wrote, there's photography by Austin, and also it makes use of archival photos too, correct?
Yep, and this is all in the Martha's Vineyard Museum. One thing that I thought was interesting when I visited was there are hardly any captions throughout the whole entire exhibition. And he did this intentionally to give viewers room to reflect on some of these stories. You know, he kind of wanted them to fill in the gaps for themselves because, unfortunately, that's what a lot of people have to do since people of color's histories aren't written about as much.
All right. Well, thanks, Gwen. The exhibit is up through the end of June. Thanks for the story.
Thank you.
You can read more about these stories and all the news for free at vineyardgazette.com. This week, I'm going to a wedding. Actually, I'm going to a conference about weddings and events on Martha's Vineyard. But I know it will look as beautiful as a wedding, the vibe will be memorable, and the food will be delicious. The Vineyard Gazette Media Group's Martha's Vineyard Island Weddings magazine puts on Martha's Party Wedding and Event Conference to bring together planners who want to learn more about how to throw an amazing wedding on the island. The event is at the beautiful Harborview Hotel, a big destination for weddings, and there will be a vendor showcase at the Daniel Fisher House. Local asparagus is up, and you can buy it at Morning Glory Farms every other week. That's according to Cook the Vineyard newsletter. And a few more restaurant openings make it feel like the season is starting to get underway. Sandy's Fish and Chips is open in Vineyard Haven, as is El Barco Tacos and Tequila. And a new year-round Indian restaurant plans to open by the end of the month in the former Sharkey's Cantina on Upper Main Street in Edgartown. The location, which is across the street from the Stop and Shop, has been empty since 2022. The restaurant's parent company owns several Indian and Mediterranean restaurants in the Boston area, and I, for one, am very excited about having an Indian restaurant on the island. And now a memory from May Day. Betty Alley, a lifelong resident of Oak Bluffs, recalls her traditions as a child.
I was thinking the first day of May, we used to go and hang a May basket every year. To friends of ours, every year when we were growing up, we'd take weeks to decorate a May basket. And we'd get crepe paper and we'd save all our pennies and we'd get candy and we'd go around and hang May baskets. You'd go and hang it and then you'd go and hide, see, and then they'd have to find you. They'd usually find you. And by the way, if it was a girl and you hung it to a boy, and then if he caught you, he could kiss you and something like that. And we didn't only deal with the first day of May, we did it any time through the month of May. It was a big thing. Just before it got dark, you could go and do this. We used to spend hours and days decorating these cardboard boxes with crepe paper, pink and blue and white, and put handles on them, and then you'd put penny candy in or anything else that was sweet. But so many of those customs are gone from everything. And the other day I thought about that. And it was a rainy day, or I would have got one of my little great-grandchildren. I would have gone to hang one just so she'd know about it. Because I tell them all these things, of course they think some of it is really kind of silly. But it used to be kind of fun. That was some of our fun.
This audio is from a 1995 interview with Betty Alley conducted by Lindsay Lee. Special thanks to the Martha's Vineyard Museum for providing this archival audio. Our theme music is from island composer and musician Michael Hayden. If you like the show, please tell a friend who loves the vineyard. Thanks to our sponsor, Crane Appliance. Their appliance experts listen to your needs and help you choose the right appliances for your home. Crane Appliance, they call the Cape and Islands home. I'm Monica Brady-Meyerov. Thanks for joining me on The Vineyard. See you next week.